Hi there. Welcome to a bit of my day. If you're new here, I'm Catherine. I make journals usually out of old books. Junk journals, some people call them. I guess they're junk because I really try to make mine completely out of repurposed materials like paper, ribbons, lace, everything. I really try my best. Some things just have to be purchased at the store. You can't. I don't have much luck, but I try my best to make sure my junk journals are junk. But the term still doesn't sit right with me because I pour my heart and soul into it and it feels like art. There, my therapy session is over for the day. Um, and like I said, usually I use old books, gut them, and make them into a new journal, as I did with this one. We'll talk about this one in a little bit, or like I did actually with these two. We'll talk about them in a little bit. But today I'm working on this one. Let's come down a little bit. I'm working on the Fairy Queen. And this is actually one of my rare times that I am working with a scanned image. I purchased this. This is my silk ribbon to hold it together because it had no spine when I purchased it. It was actually in a sealed plastic bag, but this intrigued me so much when I saw it, and the wear and tear on it and the falling apart of the spine. I just thought, well, it just called to me. And when I opened it, the mystery began because this is not, oh, that's going to crack and fall apart. This text block is not the Fairy Queen. The Fairy Queen, there's been many versions of stories called the Fairy Queen. But this particular one has been very difficult to track down, but I have been able to track down to the best of my ability that this particular one was a really long poem written by Edmund Spenser. And to the best of my ability, I have been able to track down that for this cover at least, not the text block, I'll still use because it looks pretty old too. I forget what the year of the text block is in here, 1900. But it was the cover that caught my eye, and it didn't disappoint because the inside is spectacular as well. So 1857 it is beyond the copyright date. So so I took it to a place to have it scanned better than I can do it with my machine, and it came out really well. And so I scanned front and back, and then I used cardstock, and I did my best, and I think I did pretty good. So here's the original, here's mine, and again, original, and here's mine. Some of it was darker, and some of it darkened up because of my inking to get this edge nice and dark, and I don't mind it. Of course, I can't get that really cool leather, the cracked up old leather, but I'm thrilled with it. Just the same, I'm thrilled with it, and this is one of those instances where I try my best. And you know what? There's absolutely no disrespect to the artists who work with digitals. I applaud. Those digitals are beautiful, and they take a real artistic talent to make and create. And but I try my best not to use digitals. I find for me the personal challenge is creating something beautiful out of something old, creating something maybe different than what the old paper originally was, that sort of thing. But in this instance, I love this cover. And this one, I will keep for me for the time being, the real one. But I printed off lots of these because I intend to do many versions of the Fairy Queen. And it was a poem that Edmund Spenser wrote about Elizabeth I. So I'm doing, what I wanted to do was get the basic cover and signatures ready so that I can go ahead and put Wonderfully Good into my Etsy shop, because Wonderfully Good needs to go to the right home. She's so wonderfully good. And it's funny how that's the way I feel about the journals I create. I don't know, something in my heart just feels wonderfully good knowing that they're going out and that someone is holding it in their hands and thinking, what should I do with this book now? And making it their own and making changes. Maybe there's something I did they didn't like and they're going to change it and make it their own. Or maybe they love what I did and they're just going to pick up the torch and keep going. Do you know what I mean? It pleases me. And Wonderfully Good belongs in the right hands. So Wonderfully Good will be going into my Etsy shop. I'm hoping actually tomorrow. I'm hoping Sunday. That's my goal. Don't hold me to it. It could possibly be Monday, but I'm really hoping if I can get to work, she will go in on, I'll get the flip through done, and Wonderfully Good will go into my Etsy shop, and maybe there will be someone out there who will go to the shop and say, oh, wonderful, Wonderfully Good is still there, and say, that's for me. Anyhow, but back to this. I wanted to get this one well on its way to being made so that I can use this one for today and for tomorrow as the template and make more detailed notes. Do you know what I mean? Until it becomes second nature for me, because it's not second nature yet. Soft spine, 3-hole pamphlet stitch, which for me, this is a challenge for me. Doing a hidden hollow back spine, such as with this book I've been affectionately calling Violet, doing that 11 signature hidden hollow back spine, I can do this now without even thinking. It's second nature to me. This is not second nature to me. This was challenging, especially with it being a soft, fabric-y spine. This was challenging, but I enjoyed the challenge. Sometimes I didn't, but for the most part, I did. Anyhow, so I've done it the same way, but I wanted to talk you through it because I did get a head start. That's a little too long for my liking. Can you believe me trimming threads? But she's going to have lots of threads on the inside. So it's a piece of fabric. She is, it turned out to be about 3 3/4, but maybe not quite so much because I really wanted, you know me, I love a good frayed edge. So maybe it's actually 3 1/4. And then I wanted the spine to be, this spine is going to be about 1 3/4. So again, as I was mentioning the other day in my video with the Happy Mail from Amanda. Thank you again, Amanda. Oh, Amanda, look what I did on my Medic Alert bracelet. I put my little charm on my Medic Alert bracelet. Isn't that pretty? It makes me happy. So often junk journal creators do 1 signature per 1/4 inch width of their spine. So with 1 3/4, that would be 7 signatures. I'm happy that that is, I'm happy that that's an odd number. You know me, I prefer to work with odd number signatures. And normally I would add more if it was a hidden hollow back spine. Because this is a soft spine that I will again be using lots of thicker papers, and I want the new owner to have tons of room to be gluing in tons of cool things and bulky stuff like that. That's bulky. This tulle is bulky. This lace is bulky. The fabric is bulky. I will be honoring the code of 1 signature per 1/4 inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, that's what I will be doing. So, so what I did was I sewed just for strength around the edge ahead of time to give myself a little bit of firmness inside this fabric using just regular glue, because there's going to be pamphlet stitches holding it together, so there's no need to use your expensive glue, or at least I don't think. There is a piece, this is actually the offcut, there's a piece of this inside there. Whether you need that or not, I'm not sure. I found it was helpful when it came time to sew in the signatures when I made Wonderfully Good. So so I did it again, and then the detail across the bottom with a zigzag and some Shinuki knots. I did that next. So I guess if I was talented, I could just get it all done in one fell swoop, but I didn't. I stitched around the edge, and then I went back and stitched over, and then I found that the area that I wanted at the top didn't have enough Shinuki knotting for my like, so it actually has 2. I doubled up my zigzag stitch so that I could add some more Shinuki knotting to that. Anyhow, so initially with Wonderfully Good, I was a little bit concerned. I knew that this was going to end up being a heavy journal, not only when I was finished with it, but certainly when the next owner is finished with it. It's going to probably be a heavy book. And I wanted to make sure that it was tough and ready for the job. So what I did was I poked holes through the fabric and just put in that extra hand stitching. I used my awl, just my regular awl, and I used twisted embroidery floss. So I'm doing it again with the Fairy Queen. Whether that's necessary or not, who knows? I just happen to also think it looks cool. So I thought I'd bring you along as we get this one done. I wanted the knots to be on the outside, so you start from the top and go down for that. And sometimes it's tricky. Hold on. And you need your needle nose pliers to pull it through. But we can do it. We're tough. I'm going to I need some room for when I tie my knots at the end, so I'm just going to clip that. I wish I had a tinier one handy. Let me find a tinier one. That's going to get bulky, and I'm going to end up yelling at it. So there we go. That one's a little better. So if you wanted your knot to be on the underside, you'd start from underneath and come up. Now this part is also tricky if you're using patterned fabric, because it's hard to see where your hole is that you have poked through with your awl. So what I do is I will poke a needle through, and that gives me a hint as to where to start poking this needle through. And I pulled it out before I got it in. I'll do this little trick as well sometimes when I'm sewing regular signatures, even for a hidden hollow back spine. Sometimes these just don't want to find their way through, and I will put a needle or even my awl through to by the other side, so that my that one went through. Sometimes I'll feel around for it and see, but no. So as you can see, it's tedious work, but sometimes that's what we do. I'm not one for shortcuts with my journals, but that's part of the pleasure for me, and the therapy for me is taking those little extra steps. One of my big OCD worrywart nightmares is I don't want a journal to go to a new owner and then within 1 week have parts of the book that I have created with love. Let's see if I can find it. Sometimes I poke around to see if I can get lucky. And have important parts of it not holding, the glue that I've chosen not holding, that sort of thing. So I'm careful that eventually things do come apart. It's just the way it is. Glue and paper comes apart. And that itself is a normal thing. And I do expect owners to know that sometimes they will have to grab their own bottle of glue and do a little, sorry about that, I bumped my camera. Sometimes the new owner will have to pull out their own bottle of glue and glue something back down. That is to be expected. With any book, even a book that you buy at Barnes & Noble. Oh my goodness, come on. Do not be so difficult. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but you know what? We're having a lovely little chat and visit while we get along with this. There we go. So I hope you're doing well. There's probably lots of shadows here. I need my light going today because we're practically having a typhoon where I live. At one point, the rain was literally going sideways, and then at another point, it was almost as if my house was going through a car wash. It was the only way I could describe it. I couldn't see out my windows. It was hitting the windows so with so much force and so much water. I was waiting for the soap cycle and the wax cycle to happen next, which would be nice. Our siding does need cleaning. Our houses get dirty, but they do. But the rain is good since we didn't get much snow this year. We count on snow a great deal here in North America for many regions for our water table, which is why we battle forest fires, especially with what we're dealing with our climate change. So if we didn't get a lot of snow this winter, believe it or not, as much as I love my sunshine, I will be happy to turn on my sun lamp. Come on, you. And take the rain if that will help it. Oh my goodness. I may have to pause, finish this up, and then join you again, because this one is laughing its head off at me. Hold on. Yay! I did it. All right. So, let's see if I've got enough here to tie my knot. I do. All right. So here's another one of my things. Here's a confession. I am not a seamstress. I never learned embroidery, although my mother was a magnificent embroiderer. I also never learned how to knit. Try as I may, it never clicked in my brain. Crocheting did. I can crochet. I can sew a decent dress. Actually, better than decent. I'm very good at sewing dresses, but I do need a pattern and the instructions, but I can do it. I can make a very nice dress, or slacks, or what. I follow the pattern. I can do it. But fancy things like French knots and that, no, not so much. So I have figured out what I'm going to do now by guess and by golly, and I bet there's a name for it, and I bet there's a better way to do it. So no mocking me. And one of these days I'm going to show up at Nancy's house, and I'm going to learn at the master's knee. I will literally sit on the floor and have her teach me how to do what it is that I'm wanting to do right now. But I want a knot right there at the base of that hole. And this is how I've been doing it. And I do several of them so that it ends up nice and big. And I get the knot going. And then I use my needle. And I put my needle back down in where I want it to be. And I just pull that down tight, down where I want it to be. And I'm sure there's a name for it. And if you know it, and again, like I said, if you know a better way to do this, please share down in the comments. Catherine, there's a better way to do that. It's called this. Search on YouTube for it, and knowledgeable embroiderers will be able to tell you how to do it. But in the meantime, this works for me. Because, for one thing, I'm not worried about this coming out. This is decorative. This is not coming out. Did you see how hard it was to put in? It's not coming out. I'm not worried about it. But I like the look of the knots on the outside. Now, I didn't do that with Wonderfully Good. The knots are on the inside. But I made the official decision with this one to put these little knots on the outside. So there we go. That is that. So I just, like I said, I put it back down where I want it to be. Use my fingernail and pull tight, and then I just do maybe 3 of them till it looks as big as I want it to. I want it to be noticeable, and one little tiny knot isn't noticeable. So I find that 3 is more noticeable for me. See, I could use my mother right now. My mother could have taught me this. And there once was a time she tried, but I, of course, was on to other things by then. Some things she forced me to learn, even though I didn't want to learn. And now, of course, as usually happens with moms and children, I'm glad she did. She forced me to learn how to read a pattern and lay the fabric and pin it and cut it and everything that goes with that. And I hated it. I remember that summer she made me learn how to, what was the first thing I made? A skirt. I made myself a skirt, and so it involved learning how to put in a waistband, learning how to gather, learning how to put in a zipper and a button, and of course, as well, laying down the fabric, cutting it out, laying it in the right way, so learning the arrow on the fabric piece, all that sort of stuff. And I just thought, it's summer. I want to go out and play. Why do I have to learn this? And now, of course, I'm very glad I learned it. And how to roll a Tony perm. I remember the summer. I got up that morning. I was going to go out and play. She said, no, today you're learning how to roll a perm. And I said, I am. What's a perm and why? And she said, because I need my hair permed, and I'm going to teach you how so I can stop paying the hairdresser. And you know what? Maybe it's her fault I became a hairstylist. But I must confess, I did get to the point in my career as a hairstylist that I could pick and choose what I liked doing and what I didn't like doing. And I got to the point where I did not do perm customers. Because I hate rolling perms. And you know what? It wasn't because of my mom. And yet, my children to this day, some of them at least, love the smell of perm solution. And they loved when, at one point, even my dad was getting his hair permed. Remember when guys went, like, I think it was the 70s and 80s, guys were still getting their hair permed. Like, Mr. Brady on the Brady Bunch. And so I'd have a day where I'd be perming mom and dad's hair, and my kids would be outside playing, and they'd come in and go, oh, it's perm day, because they knew Nana and Papa were getting their hair permed. Anyhow, it was nice to get to the point in my career where I could, if someone phoned and said, I'd like to book a perm, I'd say, oh, I'll be happy to recommend a stylist for you. I don't do perms. But I did special event hair. Oh, talk about special event hair. I have 3 grandchildren graduating from, now I'll say it in Canadian and then I'll say it in American. I have 3 grandchildren this year graduating from grade 8. So I'm very excited about special event hair. And American, I believe they say 8th grade, because my friend Mary Beth used to make fun of me all the time. She lived in Niagara Falls, New York. And up here we say grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 8, grade 12. And she'd say, "What are you saying? It's 3rd grade, 4th grade." And from what I figure, I think that's a pretty common thing, is at least maybe in Ontario, not necessarily Canadian. I shouldn't make it a blanket statement, but certainly for everyone I know who lives in Ontario, where I live, we say grade 8, grade 12. How do I get off on such tangents? Anyhow, I love doing grade 8 hair for it's usually their first time getting special hair done, and they're not, I find grade 8ers are not snooty yet and don't have attitude. They're just so happy to have special hair done. And so that's usually my favorite. Or flower girl hair. I love doing flower girl hair because, again, it's usually their first time being fussed over and getting a pretty hairdo. And so I get the first one. It's actually today, but by the time you see that, it'll be yesterday. I get the first one to do, and she wants beachy waves with 2 braids coming across the back, and I'm very excited. All right, I've already gone over time, so so we'll cover this. So this weekend, I'm hoping Sunday will be busy for me. I'm hoping that today I will be able to get flip-throughs done for Velvet Paws and Shiny Eyes, which is a no-sew journal, and it's also a refillable journal, which means that the papers I have put in, when the new owner fills them up, they can take it out and save it in any special way they wish, and they can refill this cover and keep using the cover, which is a really cool thing. And I call this a Sunnyside Skinny Dip because it's naked. There are no tags in it. There are no pockets in it. It's just a skinny, it's a naked journal. And when you go to Sunnyside Beach, if you're swimming naked, you're skinny dipping. So I call these journals Sunnyside Skinny Dips. This book is from 1943. This is another Sunnyside Skinny Dip. And this will be going into I'll be doing a flip through of it, and it's also a refillable journal. So, and this one as well is a real honest to goodness skinny dip, because this one has a few unusual pages in it. We'll get into it. This one truly is for writing or keeping notes or whatever it is. We'll get into it and I'll explain it in the flip through, but it can be, these threads can be undone. You could put your own in, your own ribbons. Again, I'm starting to do the flip through, so I've got to stop talking. So those two, I am hoping to get the flip throughs recorded and hopefully list them for Sunday, much later in the day, Eastern time. That's New York City time. Although I'm east of Toronto, we are also on New York City time. And Wonderfully Good as well. But Wonderfully Good is far from naked. I went way overboard. She was going to be naked. And as you can see, this journal is not naked. She's not a naked journal. She's not going skinny dipping. Oh, you need to go in there. What are you doing? You're trying to get out. So she will be hopefully getting listed on Sunday. And then this big beauty, Violet, we will be doing a flip through of Violet, and I'm very excited about Violet. This is a beautiful, beautiful journal, and I'm really excited to show you all the things I got done with our Violet. So there we go. If you're still here, thanks for joining me and sticking in there with me. Leave a comment down below and say hi. I'm still wavering back and forth between trying to leave a reply and just clicking on the love heart so that you know that I have read the notes. My days start out really well, but I still end my day, which is usually my relax with my computer time. I can be quite uncomfortable, and so leaving notes can get really challenging for me. I prefer the word challenging rather than words that I would like to just use to describe it. Anyhow, so bear with me, but I do hope you'll take a moment and just say hi or good morning or anything. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. I hope you're doing well, and hopefully my plans pan out. Otherwise, I guess you'll figure it out when you if you go to my channel on Sunday and oh, there's nothing there. She didn't get to it. We'll see. Let's cross our fingers. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.